So Netflix's The Witcher season 2 came out on Friday, December 17th. Over the weekend, I watched it. I had I'd reviewed season 1 as a whole season, written some pieces about it, and 2 years later, we get season 2. A whole pandemic has been going on since season 1 came out, which came out right before the pandemic started in December of 2019. So season 2 is very different beast. It's not, how do you say it? It doesn't have 4 different timelines. It has one timeline. Although many of its main characters are sort of split up. It's much bigger in scope than season 1, in that you see a lot of different locations. You see Kaer Morhen, you see Oxenfurt, you see, of course, Sintra, all the different locations. I'm not going to go through them all because I'm not going to remember how to say all of them, because I'm just not. I can't keep that many words in my brain apparently. But one thing that I really enjoyed about this season was that the world building was really great, even if there were some hard to follow aspects and just like rushed aspects, which I'll get into in a little bit. But the world building, like when you see these cities or fortresses or castles or whatever, you get a real sense of how grand they are. And each one's different. That the temple that Geralt and Ciri go to sort of looks like almost like a desert temple, and it's smaller than a lot of these other places. Oxenfurt is a sprawling city. Sintra, you really get a sense of the size of this citadel there, and this grand circular stone walls around the city. Kaer Morhen is a beautiful ruined castle in the mountains, covered in snow. So you get a great sense of scope, and then they also go into some more of the lore and the history of the continent, which is the place where all these different people live. The northern kingdoms, Nilfgaard, all these sort of oppressed elves and the dwarves and everything else, and all these monsters. They talk a lot about the conjunction of the spheres, which is when in this magical conjunction, over 1,000 years prior, all these different worlds sort of collided, not physically necessarily, but came together in a conjunction, a magical conjunction. And through that conjunction, monsters and humans came onto the continent, into this world of elves and dwarves and gnomes, and kind of really screwed things up. And this is why we have the Witchers, because they created the Witchers to stop the monsters. The monsters were enhanced by and like mutated and created by mages. I think there were monsters that mages didn't create, but mages there was like a mage arms race, and nuclear monsters came out of it, right? And so the Witchers were created using elder blood to go and stop the monsters and save the world, save humanity. Now the Witchers are dying out. Elder blood is gone, and we find out that Ciri has elder blood. I'm just going to have spoilers in this because whatever. I was trying to spoil everything, but this is going to be a spoiler review because whatever. I do non-spoiler reviews. I do spoiler reviews. This is a spoiler review. So I'm not going to recap everything either. Basically, we have, the aftermath of the Battle of Sodden. Geralt and Ciri are looking for Yennefer. They think she's dead. Everyone thinks she's dead for a while, but she's actually been captured along with Fringilla she's captured by Fringilla. Then they are captured by the elves. They go with Francesca, the leader of the elves, this elven mage who's pregnant and quite fanatical, to this. She thinks it's this ancient elf who can help her, but in fact it's the Deathless Mother, this demon that was trapped, ages ago by the Witchers, not the Witcher, the Witchers. She sort of gives each of them she strikes a deal with each of them, right? She's going to give Francesca a living baby. She's going to give Fringilla power and influence over the White Flame, the Emperor of Nilfgaard. And she offers to give Yennefer her power back. But Yennefer, out of the 3, is the only one who refuses, sensing that this is not a good magic, right? Ultimately, though, Yennefer goes back on this, constantly frustrated by the fact that she can't find her power, can't find chaos, whatever. And when she goes back to the Deathless Mother appears as Ciri and says, "Find me and take me to the Black Door at Sintra, and you'll get your power back." So this, of course, creates conflict between Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer, because she goes and finds Geralt and Ciri at the temple and essentially kidnaps Ciri and takes her to Sintra, lies to her. Geralt figures this out and shows up to save Ciri. But it really paints the same exact time that Yennefer decides that what she's doing is wrong and changes her mind. It's too late because the other two women in this bargain have gone through with their side of the deal with the Deathless Mother, and she feeds on pain and suffering, and so she's freed from the hut that the Witchers trapped her in and goes and possesses Ciri, and Ciri sort of she uses Ciri's power to go and start killing Witchers at Kaer Morhen, and reveals that inside the tree in Kaer Morhen there's a monolith which she breaks and brings monsters through. And we learn that she's trying to use Ciri to get back to her homeland, or her home world, sorry, her home sphere, which she does when Ciri opens a portal and they all hop into this portal into this strange barren land, and we meet the Wild Hunt, which gamers in the franchise will be familiar with. That's the broad strokes overview of what happens in the season. There's a lot of politicking also. There's the Brotherhood, there's the wizards and sorceresses conspiring and competing against each other. There's all the kings of the northern kingdoms like Vesemir and Falstad and so on and so forth, who are doing their own political game. Vesemir is the king of Redania, and his mage advisor Dietrich is sort of like the master spy. Like they're a very powerful kingdom, and they want to take over Sintra from the occupying force of Nilfgaard, and they need to get Ciri to do that. There's a weird fire mage who's trying to find Ciri. By the end of the season, the elves are going to try to find Ciri because of the elder blood that she possesses, and the prophecies all around that. Of course, we had Yennefer trying to get Ciri, Geralt trying to find Ciri. Basically, everyone's trying to find Ciri. You could call the show "Everyone's Trying to Find Ciri," and it would be pretty applicable. My colleague at Forbes, Paul Tassi, wrote about how this is a little much, and I totally agree with this. This is a little much. It's a little too much, relying on Ciri to push the show forward. Now, maybe it's just a vehicle to get into the next season, and then we'll have a little bit less emphasis on like everyone trying to get Ciri. But it is precariously close territory to Ciri becoming a MacGuffin, like the Ring or like Baby Yoda. It's great. They're fun. It's fun. MacGuffins can work pretty well in storytelling, but it's also kind of a cop-out when this one thing becomes so important to the plot that everything else sort of falls away. And I don't want to see that in The Witcher. I would like to have it still be driven by these different characters and their stories and adventures and conflicts and everything else, rather than it all just be about trying to get Ciri. The Wild Hunt's trying to get Ciri, right? Everyone's trying to get Ciri. Coffee break. Other things I didn't quite like. I still don't like Triss. It's partly the casting. They did make both Triss and Ciri look a lot more like the characters in the games, which was nice for me personally. I thought Triss especially just seemed so off. They gave her red hair and just made her look and dress a little bit more like Triss, but she still doesn't act like Triss. That's the problem. She's just sort of an empty character. Even though she has more screen time this time around, I feel like Triss is just like, who cares, right? Like, they needed to give Triss much more personality, and I don't think it would have been a bad thing to give a bit of a romance between Triss and Geralt also, because he has that. First of all, he thinks Yennefer's dead, and it would have been pretty interesting if they'd hooked up with Triss knowing Yennefer's alive, but Geralt thinking she's dead. I think that would have been more. Just more interesting, right? And sexier. But Triss I just find to be... I loved Triss in the video games. I was a big Triss fan, so I'm sort of disappointed still, even though I like that they changed her look. Ciri's got dark eyebrows now, which makes her look way better, first of all. And I know this was per the request of Freya Allen, the actress who plays her. So I'm glad that they did that for her, because bleaching your eyebrows is just bad news, first of all, and she looks way better and cooler and more like Ciri in the games. Now she just needs to like get the whole setup and I mean she did get out of the dress into more like fighter clothes, but I'd like to see her like really get that look from the Witcher 3. So I like that. I like that Vesemir looks a lot like Vesemir from the games, and I like the actor Peter Budvana, or I can't pronounce his last name right now. He does a good job. It's weird how different he is from the Vesemir of the anime. So that, it's just such a different, like, they'd have different accents, they have different personalities. I wish they'd made the anime more like this Witcher, because it feels more like the universe of the Witcher that they're trying to create. I liked the anime, but I thought that his character felt off. It was cool to see all the different Witchers. There was the Witcher, the episode where the Eskel like has the tree monster come out of him and he becomes the tree monster. That was really cool. I love the monsters in this for the most part. The first episode with Nevelyn was really good. The sort of the twist at the end of that episode is that he wasn't just cursed because he burned a temple. He was cursed because he raped the nun, or the I'm losing the word. He raped the person who cursed him, and so once, of course, Geralt and Ciri realize this at the end of the episode, they turn their back on him. And one of the best lines in the whole season is when he says, "Just please kill me," because he was cursed into like this boar-looking figure, and now at the end he turns back to a human and he says, "Just kill me," and Geralt says, "You're mortal now. Do it yourself." I liked that. That was good. Lots of good like monster of the week stuff throughout the season. We got more monsters. We got a heavier emphasis, I feel like, on monsters and monster fighting. Although we had some really cool ones in the first season. I feel like maybe the monsters go down a little too easy a lot of the time. Not every episode. That first episode, the vampire woman, she was a tricky one to take down, and it was kind of an emotional thing because her lover basically had to kill her. But the things, okay, I keep on trying to get to this, but the things, I'll just list off the things I didn't really like this season. Even though overall I say I enjoyed this season quite a lot. It felt rushed. We had a lot of sort of like unexplained things happen. Like, how did the fire mage guy know that that Geralt and Ciri were at the temple? I assume Yennefer got there because the Deathless Mother just teleported her there. But then there's some implication that maybe she tipped off the fire mage, but how would she have done that if she was just teleported straight from the Deathless Mother's hut? And how would she even know that he's out there hunting? Well, I mean, she would know because she blew fire in his face, but how would she find where he was to tell him that? So then I don't know how he gets there. I don't know how all of them just arrive at this temple within like a day of each other. It's very strange, and it seems totally inexplicable. There's other little things like that. Like, we learn at the very end, of course, that the White Flame of Nilfgaard is actually Ciri's long dead father. He's not dead after all. Which, of course, lots of us knew if we knew anything about these stories before the show. But it's like the big surprise twist at the end. But he also reveals that he's the one who killed Francesca's baby. And he did it for reasons to find Ciri, I guess. But why? But this makes no sense, because it seems like everyone pretty much has a pretty good and easy way of finding Ciri. People are constantly finding Ciri. I mean, Ciri's literally outside Sintra in the last episode, or the second to last episode, and they send like 8 guys on horses to go see what's going on, and then they just don't send anybody else out there. It's like she's right there. I mean, they may not know it's her, but they know there's something, and then it's like they just drop it. I don't understand why he killed the baby. I don't understand why it's so hard for Nilfgaard to go out and search for Ciri after they lost her in season 1. Whereas everyone else seems to be having no problem sending people out to find her. How did the fire mage find Kaer Morhen if he didn't know where it was and he didn't get it out of Jaskier? They don't explain that. What's up with Jaskier, by the way? My recollection of season 1, and maybe I just need to watch these scenes again, but it was not that like the deepest bitter anger and hatred was formed between him and Geralt and Yennefer. I mean, he treats Yennefer like literally the worst human he's ever met, and I just don't remember him hating her that much. Disliking her, sure. He feels deeply betrayed by Geralt, but again, I'm not entirely sure why. It just doesn't seem like it was as big of a deal as he's making it. And maybe they're just making him dramatic, but it's sort of laid on a little thick. And Jaskier in general feels a little more obnoxious this season and a little less lovable than last season. And I don't know if that was intentional or what, but he's just obnoxious to the point where I don't really care for his character this season, which is unfortunate because I did like him in the first season. People get places too fast. Like I'm thinking about, Geralt showing up just in the nick of time to stop the Nilfgaardians from capturing Ciri and Yennefer. He's riding not very fast with a troop of dwarves and Jaskier on foot, and they get to Sintra at the same time as Yennefer and Ciri, who have teleported a long distance and then ridden hard on horseback. How does that all work exactly? It just seems like they're tying it up a little too neatly. We start to lose a sense of geography here. Maybe they just need to explain it on screen a little bit more, where all this stuff is in relation. I know you can look up a map of the continent, but for viewers not looking up maps of the continent, like how far away is Kaer Morhen from Sintra? Or, how far is Nilfgaard from Sintra? How far is that temple that they go to from Sintra? And then, from Sintra, right, first when Ciri is possessed by the Deathless Mother and they ride back up to Kaer Morhen, like how long does that take versus how long it would take for Geralt to get up there? Or from wherever they are at the Deathless, when they're teleported to the Deathless Mother, how long would it take to ride from there to Kaer Morhen? This feels like season 7, season 8 Game of Thrones level, kind of like confusing geographically. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just being a little persnickety about this, but I like to have a sense of distance and geography and place and time so that I can wrap my brain around all this stuff. So it's not just like, oh, pop, they just appeared over there. Pop, they appeared over here. Everyone. Now, obviously in this show, wizards can do that. They can portal anywhere they want for the most part, but not everyone can. So that started to bug me. Things just felt rushed. Things felt like tied up a little too neatly in places. Some of the politicking felt forced, like in Sintra between the Nilfgaardians. There's that whole scene where Fringilla kills all these guys, and it's kind of like, I don't understand exactly the stakes of all this. If they really want to be in good graces with the White Flame, then like Cahir or whatever, the commander general or whatever keeps saying, we should go find Ciri because that's what he wants us to do, but they never do it, and that feels strange and odd to me. The elves leaving Sintra and going to Redania and just being able to go through the streets killing babies basically without being stopped by the Redanian army seems a little odd. That felt a little rushed, although it was pretty whoa, that was messed up, savage, evil shit right there. Because Francesca's a fanatic. But overall, I mean, there were some good fight scenes. There's a lot. I think all the actors are brilliant. Freya Allan was so good this season. Henry Cavill did perfect Geralt. I don't know how. I never would have predicted that before season 1, but he really is. The production is more lavish. It's nice to watch this show because it looks so good. I've been watching Wheel of Time also, and it just doesn't look that good. Seriously, I might make a video comparing just the shots of the big cities and castles and stuff in The Witcher compared to the same kind of shots in Wheel of Time. And in Witcher, they look so good and they look so real, and in Wheel of Time, they look so fakey and just cheap. So overall, a very enjoyable season with just a lot of little things that could have been done better. And I think maybe they're taking on too much at once, trying to wrap all these plots together into 8 episodes. And they're doing that through this, let's make everything start to focus in on Ciri. And it just starts to feel like they're just trying to do too much at once, and it's all going to sort of buckle under its own weight. So that's kind of where I'm at Witcher Season 2. Again, great performances all around. Anya Chalada, I'm butchering her name, but she's so good as Yennefer. I love her purple eyes. More people should have purple eyes. Geralt's eyes were kind of weirding me out this season, though. They seemed so yellow. I don't know if I'm just forgetting how they looked in season 1, but I feel like they overdid it a little this season. Everyone's eyes are really cool, though. Like Ciri's bright green eyes, they're all just so vivid. I think, and I think the politicking at the Brotherhood could use more space. I feel like we need to establish who these characters are and what the kingdoms are a little bit more, because we have all these kings like Foltest and Vesemir, but we don't really get a sense of like what are their kingdoms like. Calenthe was always like in battle or in her feasting room with everyone dancing, and she looked. But Vesemir's just like chilling in his room with Dijkra. I can't say his name. Dijkra. I could say it earlier and I can't say it now. He's just always like all by himself in his room. You don't get a sense for what Redania is really like or where it is. Same with Foltest. Like we got more of Foltest and his sort of curse last season, but I would like to see more to indicate who is who and where is where and what is what. Even if that requires a little more exposition, let's get a more grounded sense of what the continent is comprised of. Also, I want some trolls and I want some gnomes. Trolls and gnomes, season 3. That should be it. So, anyways, hopefully it doesn't take 2 more years for season 3 to come out, but it might. Blood Origins, which takes place like over 1,000 years earlier, just before the conjunction of the spheres, that comes out next year. If you didn't see it, there's a post-credits scene. It's a trailer at the end of the last episode of season 2, so you can also look it up on YouTube. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of The Witcher season 2 and The Witcher 2. That was a great game. And what you liked, what you didn't like, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and thank you so much for watching. Peace.